Nestled halfway between Cleveland and Columbus, Ohio, you will find the Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course, where they've been racing Indy cars here since 1980. And we welcome you here on NBC to Race 2 on a doubleheader weekend for the Honda Indy 200 here at the Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course. 75 laps is the race distance, just under 170 miles. As we say welcome. After this, there's only 3 races left in the championship. Lee Diffie, along with a couple of drivers who have achieved success here, Townsend Bell, Paul Tracy, the Indy 500 pole sitter, James Hinchcliffe, along with Kelly Stavist. We are ready to go, and it's been an interesting day that has been influenced by weather. And now, while it looks sunny now and clear, it has received a lot of rain, the track and the edges of the track, and that will play into today's race, believe me, as we see the Honda two-seater driven by the legend Mario Andretti, and he has Dave Howard as his passenger. Dave is a racetrack safety worker, and we thank him for his efforts and enjoy the ride with the one and only Mario Andretti. Time to take a look at how these 23 cars will line up as we take you to the Honda grid, and a first-time pole sitter in 21-year-old Colton Herder along the first-time front row starter, Santino Ferrucci. It's a young front row, guys.
Very young front row, and in row 2 you've got Alex Palou, another young rookie, starting next to that orange and blue car of Scott Dixon, the championship points leader. He's in a good starting position, but Paul, he lost 20 points in the championship yesterday running mid-pack.
He did, but Colton Herder stalled it, leaving for the start for the formation lap, had to hustle his way through the field, so he's had to burn a little bit of extra gas to get up to the front here, which kind of upsets your rhythm. Look, he's trying to warm those tires up really aggressively.
Looking back through the rows, some other big names. Row 9, there's Will Power. He won yesterday's race, spun off on the opening lap of qualifying in wet conditions. He had a super fast car yesterday, dominated, but it'll be fun to watch him try to carve his way through this 23-car field.
And the field is alerted to the fact there is just one more lap before we go racing. Let's take a look at the odds to win today's race from our new partners, we're pleased to say, at PointsBet Sportsbook. And the favorite is Scott Dixon, as he was yesterday, and that's based on some pretty good numbers, and those numbers are the fact that Scott Dixon is the championship leader, and he has won here at Mid-Ohio 6 times, and he's in a pretty good starting position today to maybe grab a 7th. Want to walk you through the onboard camera views we've got for you. With thanks to Arrow, this is Pato O'Ward. He spun off in qualifying. He's got some work to do. His teammate, with thanks to Mission Foods, is Oliver Askew at Arrow McLaren SP. He's better placed. This is Felix Rosenquist's view, with thanks to NTT Data. Changing the sponsor and livery overnight in this doubleheader. This is the 5th third bank entry for Graham Rahal, who narrowly missed out on being on the podium yesterday. Simon Pagenaud shows us the DXC technology view. Love that low camera. And this is the Gainbridge Honda for Andretti Autosport's Zach Veach. Alexander Rossi, one of his teammates, carries the Auto Nation on board. He was on the podium for just the 2nd time this season, and his teammate also at Andretti Autosports, that is Ryan Hunter-Ray, and carrying the Auto Nation camera. Right, let's have a look at the global medical response, the GMR track facts. This one is a tough one. It's physically demanding. Think about this, folks. These 23 drivers did 170 miles yesterday. This undulating track that really is physically taxing. They've rested. They've tried to rehydrate, recuperate, and they're ready to do it all again. This is the 11th round of the 14-round 2020 NTT IndyCar Series. 2 youngsters on the front row. Colton Herder on the left in the green and white car is the youngest to ever win in IndyCar, and he's ready to go, but he's got a 5-time champion trying to find an inside line in Scott Dixon.
Ferrucci and Palou on the right-hand side of your screen as Dixon goes up the inside, backs out. Look at Ferrucci trying to shoot around the outside. Off of the grass.
He's not going to be able to come right out into traffic. He caused a big accident.
Took out his teammate.
Coming, that's unbelievable.
And Rosenquist, Felix Rosenquist was in that. That's the blue and black car at the top of the hill.
Oh.
So both Dale Coyne cars that had their best combined starting positions ever in IndyCar. They collide on the opening lap. That's Felix Rosenquist of Chip Ganassi Racing.
Heck of a start by Scott Dixon. He got the jump, Townsend, and was able to almost get alongside Colton Herder, but then got blocked a little bit, had to get on the brakes, but cycled out of that in 2nd place with this accident. So good start for Scott Dixon, full championship leader.
Full course yellow is out as the AMR safety team comes to remove that track banner from Rosenquist's car. Damage to the left rear. And I think that decision for Scott Dixon to back out in the first corner
was wise.
is exactly why Scott Dixon is a 5-time champion and looking very good for a 6. Watch this. Ferrucci tries to hold the position. Herder didn't give much room, but then Ferrucci comes from the grass right back on and then just ping-pongs off his teammate Alex Palou and Rosenqvist.
Certainly Herder didn't leave him very much room at all. Just kind of pushed out and then out in the grass. It rained so hard this morning. It's still wet, and you're just on for a ride. Hunter Ray here makes an outside move and pulls it off.
Palou's up ahead.
Simon Pagenaud gives him the room, so picked up a bunch of spots, up to 3rd.
Just a massive hip check from Ferrucci. I'm not even sure he would have known that that was Palou. Probably just felt a tap from behind, so he'll continue probably without damage. We'll have to see how the right rear of that number 18 Sealmaster car is, but a lot of drama on the first lap.
A lot of drama. Time to go down to pit road and say hello to both James Hinchcliffe and Kelly Stavus. Kel?
Well, Diff, it was a pretty average day for the 5-time champion Scott Dixon yesterday. He qualified 17th and managed to pick off enough spots to wind up with a 10th place finish, but still he lost 20 points in the championship standings to Joseph Newgarden, who finished runner-up. Different story today, as we just saw. He rolled off 3rd, and he made it very clear to me after qualifying that he was going for the win today. That might seem obvious, but he really wasn't interested in points racing at the time. This is his playground. He's a 6-time winner here at Mid-Ohio, wants to make it number 7 today. An exciting opening lap there, and I can tell you Scott Dixon sounded pretty heated over the radio. I think he even felt like he got blocked some point there during that start hint, but the 5-time champion trying to make it win number 7 here at Mid-Ohio.
Yeah, Kelly, the start was definitely exciting for the number 18 Sealmaster Honda for Dale Coyne Racing with Vassar Sullivan. Santino Ferrucci, we've seen him throw some incredible passes, usually around the outside on the ovals, and he tried again today on the outside of Colton Herder for the start. You can see it now in qualifying. He put on a masterclass to get onto the front row. You see him passing here, Hunter Ray. He went on the outside of a bunch of guys. He was absolutely in a field of his own for that first qualifying group. But I know he's going to be disappointed with what happened. He thinks he may have gotten away with it, guys, but talking to the crew, there's a slight chance they're seeing the right rear tire pressure going down, so they're keeping an eye on that. They might have to come in and switch boots.
Well, his teammate Alex Palou has already made it to the pit box at Dale Coyne Racing with Team Go. Now, not only was Ryan Hunter-Ray one of the fortunate ones of that opening lap kind of scramble, so too was Will Power, yesterday's race winner, yesterday's pole sitter. He has come from 17th to 12th on a very productive and opportunistic opening lap. However, today didn't go as planned in qualifying. He was arm wrestling his teammate Joseph Newgarden for the lead for the first car on track when this happened. This is straight out of the pits and into the mud. And when you bring out a red flag in qualifying, as per IndyCar rules, you go no further.
Cold tires, wet track, very unforgiving on the outlap. Kelly, what do you know about Will?
He looked pretty sheepish after that qualifying effort, said the car just got away from him, but he said, man, what a change from yesterday where he won the pole, his 60th of his career, second only to Mario Andretti, and went on to dominate the race. So he said today they're definitely going to have to try their hand at strategy. They were hoping for an early yellow. This might be too early to help them out. Meanwhile, we talked about Scott Dixon in that wild opening start. Here's what he said on the radio.
I know I heard it did at the start. He went, I was on the inside, then he was going to run me right into the grass.
Well, we raced with him yesterday. We understand what he does. Let's just be patient with him.
Well, they raced all day yesterday and had an incident yesterday. Scott Dixon ran into the back of Colton Herder coming onto the back straightaway. So this battle continues today, and the 18 we hear is getting a penalty for avoidable contact.
And the contact was with this young guy here, first year driver. That's Alex Palou of Spain. That's his teammate within the Dale Coyne Racing organization. Here is the penalty that he will serve. He'll have to go to the back of the field. What a shame, his teammate is out of the race. We told you that the rain that happened overnight and in the early hours of this morning would have an impact on this race, and it has, because when you leave the racing surface here at Mid-Ohio, so much grass area and dirt area, runoff area, that when it's sodden, you've got no chance of stopping, and that's what happened to Santino Ferrucci. Here's James Hinchcliffe.
Yeah, I just chatted with Dale Coyne asking if Alex Palou was terminal. He said no, they got a bent wishbone. They're going to take it back to the garage, but the plan is to get it fixed and try to get the 55 back on track.
A really talented driver, this guy, Alex Palou of Spain. He might be a rookie, but he's already been on the podium in the NTT IndyCar Series. He's learnt the craft of oval racing. This is his natural playground, road courses, and you can see the disappointment. It is evident and obvious.
Devastating for Palou, for the team. They go from their best ever starting position to probably their worst in 2 corners here, Paul.
Yeah. And the worst part about it is it's with your teammate. He was really just an innocent bystander. He was just threading his way through there. Santino was in the grass and was out of control, and then just came back into the track, and he was there. And look at the start.
Once Ferrucci's off in the grass, there's not much he can do except trying to nurse it back on the track from a wet set of grass.
Outside with Palou.
And you're just at this point, Ferrucci, okay, I'm off on the grass. All he's doing is saving it. There's no throttle, no anything, just off the brakes trying to drive it back on. But his bed was made trying to run too wide with Colton Herder, which a lot of people did yesterday. But Colton, very aggressive about defending, as you heard from Scott Dixon.
All right, let's get ready to go. You've got the youngest to ever win an IndyCar race and the best in the modern era in Scott Dixon. And I don't think Scott Dixon cares too much for how Colton Herder's driven him the last couple of days. This is going to be a fascinating duel. Back to racing here at Mid-Ohio.
I think Dixon has to be impressed, though, with just how quick and aggressive Colton Herder was in the final corner, sliding all over in that 88 car to try to get tire temp for these opening couple corners.
A little further back, Dalton Kellett, the rookie, scrapping there with Max Chilton in the Gallagher Chevrolet, the blue car. There's Connor Daly going right around the outside in the US Air Force Chevy.
The outside line has been working pretty well. Dalton Kellett comes back on Max Chilton, but Scott Dixon now just settling in. He's a master of making fuel mileage, so he knows that on reds right now, probably the best thing to do is just try to sit there with Colton Herder and save some fuel.
At this Honda Indy 200, the top 4 cars are powered by Honda. Best Chevrolet is Simon Pagenaud in 5th, making up from a frustrating day yesterday where he crashed on the opening lap.
So just talking about tire strategy, there's 2 available compounds, the primary black Firestone tire and the alternate red tire. The red tire, a softer compound, probably quicker for the first few laps, but might not last in performance as long as the primary black tire. But yesterday, Paul, I'd have to say the red tire is the one everybody seemed to want to be on for just outright pace.
It certainly were, but we've had a lot of rain overnight and into this morning, so the track has changed quite a bit from yesterday. They've lost a little bit of rubber on the track, so this track is a little bit green. It's going to take a little bit of while to come in.
There's a couple of guys making up from qualifying crashes. The AutoNation Sirius XM car, that pink and black car for Meyershank Racing, an Ohio-based team. Jack Harvey spun and damaged the back of the car. The team did a terrific job to get it fixed. Pato O'Ward also spun and got beached in the gravel trap. So 2 young drivers, 2 talented young drivers making their way back through the field. None better so far than this man, though. Marcus Ericsson up 8 positions from his starting spot.
Slipping and sliding there. VK, super aggressive. VK challenging Newgarden. They almost touched wheels. This kid is really aggressive, leading the Rookie of the Year championship handily, and he's trying to make another move.
Let's hear from Alex Palou. First, well, we shouldn't say first driver out of the race, but he's currently not in the race, obviously.
I know, another one of those talented rookies. Alex, out early. What was that start like from your perspective?
Yeah, I think we just gotta look at the video. I did a good start. I was just keeping the position I had. It was the first lap, and somebody went out and just drive into me and into Felix. So nothing we could all do. So
must be so disappointing, especially after that qualifying effort that you had today, and as you try to climb your way back in the Rookie of the Year standings.
Yeah, disappointing because I couldn't do anything, and it's the first lap of the race. And also, we had such a hard season till now with all the ovals, learning, and just with Road American here. So, yeah, can't wait to go to IndyGP now.
Thank you, Alex.
NBC's coverage of IndyCar is brought to you by Honda, an official vehicle of the NTT IndyCar Series. And by Fifth Third Bank, official partner of Ray Hall, Letterman, Lanigan Racing. This is banking, a Fifth Third better. Welcome back to NBC's coverage of the NTT IndyCar Series. Beautiful aerial coverage with thanks to Geico. Racing lap 9. 66 to go here on the second day of a double-header weekend, the Honda Indy 200 at Mid-Ohio, and this race is being led by Colton Herder, the 21-year-old second-year driver. He's got just over a 1 second gap to this man here, Scott Dixon, who has led this championship every step of the way in 2020.
Things were sliding the wrong way as we look at the points. Yesterday it got down to 75 points to Newgarden. Now it's advantage back to Dixon. He's moving it back the other way. So, but this championship, Townsend, is far from over.
Yeah, and I think for Newgarden and his teammate, who's up to 10th position with Will Power, I think these guys are going to think about maybe stopping early and trying to get into clean air, look for a pit stop maybe around lap 17 so they can run full rich, full fuel all the way to the end, but find clean air and go to the red tires and see if they can make up a gap. Kelly?
Well, it was a big points hit for Felix Rosenqvist. After finishing 6th yesterday, this has got to be disappointing. It looked like you were nearly through what became the chaos. Then what happened?
Yeah, I haven't seen the replay yet. Obviously, I think we were pretty innocent in that one. You know, I went on the outside in turn 5, and I saw something was going on the inside. So I just tried to take as wide line as I could to avoid whatever was coming on the inside. But yeah, I just got hit from behind. I think probably Ferrucci hit Palou, and then Palou hit me. Yeah, not much you can do in that case. Just a shame the entity data car's been good all weekend, and yeah, I think we still might go out if we can repair the car just to get a few points, but yeah, very disappointing.
Sure it is. Seems like the team's still working hard though, so they can get Felix back on track to salvage something of the day.
Yeah, and even though Alex Palou spoke like it was terminal, I think Dale Coyne Racing with Team Go are of the same opinion. Maybe they might be able to get it fixed quickly enough to get him back out there.
Yeah, there's been so little track time this year because of the COVID that any track time that you can get is a bonus. So if these guys can get the cars fixed, they'll use the rest of this race as a test session, get ready for the next race, which will be the Indy GP doubleheader. So you've got to get all the track time you can, Townsend.
No doubt, you've got to do what you can to support Scott Dixon. So even a car several laps down can sometimes be a little bit of an irritant for some of the other cars in a way that might support Dixon's and help protect Dixon's position in the championship. As Will Power continues to make great progress, I want to point out again, he is on the harder Firestone black tire right now. So if he hangs on for a few more laps, he can go red-red. You see Power up 7, Ericsson up 9 positions since the start, O'Ward up 7 as well. So for what looked to be a very challenging day for championship contenders, O'Ward starting to claw back some of the loss there. Colton Herder looking really strong out front. He'd be 4th in the championship as they run right now.
Running well in that capstone Honda. The last time Colton Herder started on the pole position was at WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca in California last year. He won that race. Does that trend continue? We'll find out, in about 63 laps time.
Everything has been working towards a racing goal. That's been my drive all my life, and it's still as high and as hungry as it was ever since I was a kid.
It's like that addictive feeling of driving the car, and I've sacrificed so many things through my life to get to the point where I am today. I wouldn't change it for the world.
That's the newly named Arrow McLaren SP, formerly Schmidt-Peterson Motorsports. We're under the second full course caution here in the Mid-Ohio 200, and there's a scramble for pit lane because they're in the fuel window. Race leader at the stage of the yellow, Colton Herder gets out. He beats Scott Dixon out, and we believe that it is, actually we're still green. So it appears as though Dalton Kellett of AJ Foyt Racing is stuck. There he is, but no yellow. My apologies, no yellow just yet. Now it comes.
I think they wanted to leave the pits open so that nobody was caught out. Ferrucci had just come to pit lane, and I thought he was going to luck out, but race control doing the fair thing, keeping the pits open because no safety issue in turn 1 with all cars coming to pit lane. There's Ferrucci.
That's the fastest corner on the track. Ferrucci's in turn 1, and you'll see Dalton Kellett on the outside over here. Got a little wide and ended up over in the gravel trap right there. So you see right here. loses it early and beached into the gravel. So that is the fastest turn on this track. It's about 135, 40 miles an hour with this downforce level.
This was Ferrucci, who ducked in as soon as that happened. Now what they're hoping for here is that the pits close right away with the full course yellow, which would mean that they would cycle to the front when everybody pits under yellow. But again, race control left the track green and the pits open. This was close, Hinch.
Traffic jam.
It's always going to be tight in this kind of situation, guys. And so this is what the situation we're looking at. They saw Dalton Kellett go off.
No fuel, finish tires.
No fuel with the 5 car. A little bit of a hold up there. Usually a very quick crew, but what the 18 were trying to do, they were trying to preempt the yellow. They were hoping they were going to get into pit lane before the yellow flag came out, which then would force everyone else to come into the pits and would cycle the 18 all the way back up to the front. Now, with the car being off in a safe location, very likely no injury to the driver, no immediate concern to the driver, IndyCar made the decision, since we were just inside the pit window, to leave the pits open for a lap. That allowed everybody to come in, get that first service done without really compromising anybody's race. Now, that does open up some options for some other guys, but right now, everyone's pitted. This is going to be a very long second and third stint now for how early these guys had to pit.
Well, all of the front runners, Hinch, have pitted, except Takuma Sato, the Indianapolis 500 winner from this year, and Marco Andretti. They're at the top, but they have yet to pit. Quick break, then we'll come back and go green. Tonight at 7 Eastern, Dak Prescott's Cowboys visit Aaron Donald and the Rams' new home, that beautiful new stadium, on the season premiere of Sunday Night Football. And be sure to make your Sunday Night 7 picks on the NBC Sports Predictor app with a $100,000 jackpot every contest. So we welcome you back, still under caution here at the Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course. Lee Diffie, Townsend Bell, Paul Tracy, along with Kelly Stavist and James Hinchcliffe, on this second day of a double-header weekend. That's been the theme of this 2020 season. Just due to the restrictions of the COVID-19 pandemic, the schedule has had to be so malleable, and some events postponed, some cancelled, some added, and this one was even touch and go here at Mid-Ohio. But thanks to the Ohio governor, just every entity involved, IndyCar, there were so many cooks in the kitchen to make this happen, and we're so pleased that it did. Looking at the leader of the race now, purely because he hasn't pitted, that's the MyJack Honda driver, Takuma Sato, the 43-year-old Japanese driver, former F1 man, who is now known as a 2-time Indianapolis 500 winner. He was in the fiercest battle with Scott Dixon at the first ever Indy 500 to be held with no fans. Unfortunately, the race finished under caution, and Sato was in the right place at the right time. He just loves the Brickyard, and he could have had his second years ago, really. He's been in the mix there many, many times, and seems to be in the best form of his career, even at the age of 43.
He's revered in his home country of Japan. He's like a god there now, being a 2-time Indy 500. It had to be so weird racing at the Indy 500 with no crowd, but it's good to see, Townsend, that we got people here, 6,000 fans, so it's great to have the fans back.
It's also good to see these remaining races on the schedule. The Harvest GP back at Indianapolis on the road course, doubleheader there, and then St. Petersburg, Florida, the race that was supposed to start our 2020 season will now close out the year.
Okay, Sato, Marco Andretti, the Indy 500 pole sitter. So you got the pole sitter and the winner in the top 2 positions. And then you've got Colton Herder, also from the Andretti group. Andretti, Harding, Steinbrenner racing in that green and white car. Top 2 cars have not yet pitted. You'll see the difference between new tires and not, more than likely. But of course, Sato and Andretti on a lighter, lower fuel load. Here we go.
Hot tires, cold tires. Front 2 cars have got used hot tires, a little bit less fuel, like you said, but these guys will get up to temp quick.
On board with Ryan Hunter-Reay in the DHL Honda for Andretti Autosport. Looking ahead at Scott Dixon and Colton Herder.
He's got a nice run on Dixon. Excellent exit.
The pass is on. He's drafting up now. Dixon will protect the inside, make him go the long way around. He's side by side. Dixon super late on the brakes.
This is where Ferrucci got in trouble.
Contact. Wow, you don't often see Scott Dixon get rough with guys like that.
And Alexander Rossi, teammate to Hunter-Reay in that Napa car, sneaks through to pick up a position.
Those two were fighting it out yesterday, being Hunter Ray and Rossi. Rossi wanted desperately to get by his teammate. He wanted a shot at Joseph Newgarden and Will Power, but it happened too late.
Rossi has the bit between his teeth. He knows on reds at the start of this stint, this is his opportunity to get by Dixon, who's on the harder black compound tire. So Rossi will be all over Dixon the next several corners.
You got Colton Herder just in front, then Rossi, then Hunter Ray. They are all teammates. These are Andretti cars attacking Scott Dixon.
In the background, Simon Pagenaud. The red and white car is Marcus Ericsson. He's made up another spot. Then Graham Rahal. Then Joseph Newgarden and Will Power. Rinus VeeKay, Oliver Askew. The red, the yellow car there. This is Charlie Kimball fighting it out with Pato O'Ward.
Pato O'Ward got down the inside, pushed Charlie a little bit wide. Now Charlie has one of his team cars. I think it's his teammate next to him there. Up front now, Graham Rahal leading this pack. He's kind of lost touch with those front four cars.
And Rossi just got by Scott Dixon. There it is. And Rossi made a move, I think, going into turn 4. Let's watch again. Rossi drafting up deep on the brakes with authority. He knows that Scott Dixon has to protect his championship lead. And smart, aggressive driving from Rossi, taking advantage of the nothing-to-lose mentality that Rossi has this season against Scott Dixon Hinch, who has to protect.
Yeah, it almost looked like Scott went a little bit deep into turn 4 here, but what's important to remember as well, Colton Herder and Scott Dixon.
Oh!
No, Scott Dixon spins. A very rare mistake. He goes around out of turn 1. It looks like he'll keep it running, guys.
That is a hugely pivotal moment in this championship.
Don't get stuck in the mud over there and get high centered, but he's got it going. He got loose at the apex of the corner. It took a big wiggle, got the curb, lost it, but had the wherewithal to get the clutch in and keep that thing going. But that has put him all the way to the back of the field.
So uncharacteristic for Scott Dixon, the 5-time series champion. VeeKay and Power, a couple of Chevrolet drivers going at it here.
And the points lead now has dropped to 64 points. It's shrunk big time.
And you know Joseph Newgarden will get an update on the radio from Team Penske to tell him Dixon just spun and he's at the back of the field.
Here it is again, going through turn 1.
Got wiggled and then he got on the curb, and there's mud on the backside of the curb there, Townsend, and he just flat out lost it.
Wide of the apex.
Look at the mud on the windscreen. That'll be on Hunter Ray's windshield as well. So
I'm sure Hunter Ray is in shock seeing Scott Dixon make such a rare mistake.
The other issue now is those tires will be flat spotted as well, so that's also going to cause him problems.
Graham Rahal got a little frustrated with Simon Pagenaud yesterday. He couldn't get by him, and that kind of upset his strategy. And here we go again. 24 hours later, he's still working on Pagenaud.
He's going to get him now, I think, but Pagenaud late on the brakes. Look at the glowing brake rotors.
Once again,
super clean pass.
See the advantage of the red tires early on in the stint against the harder blacks that Pagenaud's on. So Rahal with more grip, more pace, and pulls away.
I know many of you have been watching the Tour de France here on NBC Sports. This guy here, Simon Pagenaud, series champion, Indy 500 winner from last year. Well, he got a really special treat this year, growing up, of course, in his native France, big fan of the Tour de France. And he, as a kid, used to go and watch the Tour and hand out drink bottles. Earlier this week in his hometown of Montmorillon, the Tour went through, and there is kind of a replica of Simon's car. It's one of his early junior Formula cars. They painted it up in the Menards fluorescent yellow, the Dayglow yellow, as a tribute to his Indy 500 win. First Frenchman to win the Indy 500 in almost a century, and that was a deep and meaningful personal moment for Pagenaud, Kel.
Just now, Simon Pagenaud came over the radio and felt frustrated after getting passed by Graham Rahal, but the team reminding him he's on those harder black tires that don't have the pace of the red tires that Graham Rahal is on. So they're trying to keep him calm, said we'll get to the red tires. Yesterday was a miserable day for Simon Pagenaud. Finished 18th, but he told me he felt like he had a race-winning car, but he got too aggressive at the start, had contact with the rookie Rinus VeeKay. That sent him to the back of the field, and they just couldn't make any progress from there. So he was really confident coming into today's race.
The other cool thing about that Tour de France thing was that Simon got to be interviewed live by the legend Phil Liggett and Bob Roll. He's good friends with Christian Vandervelde, by the way. Need to take you back to some recent radio on Ryan Hunter-Reay. Have a listen.
372, no pressure from behind with Pagano. He's been running slower than you guys all race long, so most important thing is let's make sure we make the number, make it easy on ourselves, take it easy on the tires.
Good strategy, good coaching. Dixon now is 25 seconds behind the lead, and the pressure now is on Townsend.
And it is awesome to have the US Open back on NBC Sports. We'll see what Dustin Johnson can do, especially after what he did last week in the Tour Championship. Unbelievable. Speaking of cool sports, we've got a lot more coming up. 3 o'clock today here on NBC. Stanley Cup playoffs continue. Game 4, Tampa Bay Lightning and the New York Islanders. And then the season premiere of Football Night in America from 7. And then game time for Sunday Night Football at 8:20 Eastern. Cowboys and Rams in their new stadium. Can't wait to see it under the lights. So a big day ahead right here on NBC as we welcome you back to the Honda Indy 200. It's a doubleheader here at Mid-Ohio. 75 laps yesterday, 75 laps today. And right now we ride with Alexander Rossi on board the AutoNation machine. And look at the undulation there. This track is brutal. It is a torture test. And they're tired after yesterday, James Hinchcliffe. Can you imagine what they're going to feel like after today?
Not great, Lee, is going to be the answer, or suboptimal, or poor to quite poor, I think, as Paul would put it. But as we ride on board with Alexander Rossi in the Napa AutoNation Honda for Andretti Autosport, this is a race that the drivers circle on their calendar in the offseason to be physically prepared for. It is so fast. Oh, no.
Oh,
Marco. And in turn 1.
Marco goes flying off the road, gets it through the gravel. But this is an opportunity for these guys now. These Andretti cars have been running so well right now. They're looking at sweeping a podium if they can keep their cars on the track. So Herder now, Rossi, Hunter-Reay running 2nd, 3rd, and 4th, but that was wild stuff.
Between that and Scott Dixon's mistake in turn 1, these are two drivers that rarely do that as Dixon enters the frame behind Marco. Marco simply dropped the right sides off just enough on turn-in to have a huge moment.
Comes out right in front of Scott Dixon, who had almost similar fortune there, but he spun backwards. Dixon gets a run down the back straightaway, makes a clean pass on Marco, but this race
Pit this lap, Marco. Pit. We'll get you 4 black. You want any wing change?
There it is again. Up to turn 1.
It went loose right on entry. Townsend, it turned sideways, and that was a great save to not get it stuck in the gravel, because when you get out in the gravel, you've got to put your foot back on the throttle and drive through it. Look at how loose that thing went on entry.
He just trimmed the right side grass like a weed whacker. Watch up ahead here. Little edge trimming from Marco Andretti. You'll see it.
Oh, that was big time. And then look at the mud fly all over the camera. Don't forget, that's going to go on the windshield of the driver of the new aero screen. So wild stuff.
It just shows, guys, that we've got an on-track battle here with Ryan Hunter-Reay and Alexander Rossi, but was just going to say, even though the track is dry after the rain this morning, off-track obviously is not. We saw this water come up when Scott Dixon hit the curb on the exit of turn 1. We saw how wet and slick the grass was when Marco just clipped it with his right rear tire entering turn 1. So you got to remember, you have to give yourself a tiny little bit more margin of error, because everything off the racing surface is still wet and still slick.
Remember we said right at the top of the show, because of the overnight and early hours of rain here, and it was substantial, by the way, here in Ohio, that anything off track would have significant consequences, and we've seen it now multiple times today, from the opening lap involving Santino Ferrucci, Alex Palou, Felix Rosenquist, championship leader Scott Dixon, Marco Andretti.
Herder's now pulling away. These red tires, guys, I think are starting to go off for these two cars, Rossi and Hunter-Reay. You can see Rossi's car sliding around as he runs a little bit wide there, but Rahal has now pulled himself up into this mix as well.
And here is the 5th third bank Honda from Rahal Letterman Lanigan Racing. Pretty cool when a father and son have won at the same racetrack. Bobby Rahal won here a couple of times. Graham won here back in 2015. Really special day. He felt he should have been on the podium yesterday, if not challenging Will Power for the victory. So at the moment, Graham runs in 5th with 45 laps to go, and his teammate who leads the race, Takuma Sato, he's headed for pit road any moment. His team is laid out, and he's not going to come this time.
Pulled out a big lead too on older tires. He's out to 5 seconds, so the race, he's been able to make these tires last pretty well.
Well, and everybody on pit lane will be watching the pace of Takuma Sato. 31 laps complete on those reds, plus the pace laps. Still doing a 109.5 last lap. Fastest lap of the race is Graham Rahal to 109.0. So it sure seems like you're going to want to run the reds as the preferred tire if you can. That means advantage to guys like Newgarden and Power that started on the harder tire as Scott Dixon comes in.
Kelly Stavros is there. Take it away, Kel.
Yeah, and after we saw Scott Dixon go looped around, he said that those tires felt like they were square, but they kept him out there as long as they could to not get too far off the strategy. But you see those are sticker red Firestone tires now going on for the 5-time champ.
And you will see Dixon come in again. He cannot make it to the end with 44 laps to go in this race. A highly unusual day, a highly unusual weekend really, because starting 17th yesterday is not normal. For Scott Dixon, he made up tremendous ground by finishing 10th and then caught in a fierce scrap. He qualified a lot better today. Here's Sato finally, after some 32 laps out there.
And Diff, the task for Takuma Sato on this alternate strategy, the team told him he had to race like heck and open up as big a gap as he could. At one point, it was about 5.5 seconds over the pole sitter, Colton Herder. They ended up leaving him out one extra lap. Those are sticker Firestone red tires, the alternate tires going on. He asked for half a turn more wing, and they make the adjustment there, 7.7 for Takuma Sato.
Fill it up with Speedway fuel, and off goes the MyJack Honda driver. So we'll see how this works out in the end for Takuma Sato. Long way to go.
I think it'll be tough. Everybody needing one more stop, we think, to make it to the end. The leaders need to see about lap 46 to make it comfortably to the end.
Points gap now has shrunk again down to 61 points. Scott Dixon over the last 3 races has lost 61 points up to this point from St. Louis to now. So the trend is sliding in the wrong direction big time, and the momentum is shifting towards Joseph Newgarden.
As they run right now, Dixon lost about 20 coming into this race and another 20 down as they run right now. With 3 races to go, that's 60 points at the current pace. So Scott Dixon still a comfortable lead, but boy, really needs to start reversing his fortunes as we come down the stretch.
So do you remember I said yesterday, guys, that Alexander Rossi, before the end of the race, he was the owner of the only podium for Andretti Autosport? Well, right now, PT, as you alluded to earlier, it's Andretti Autosport 1, 2, 3.
And Rossi's closed the gap now to Herder. He's kind of checked away from Ryan Hunter-Reay, so now it's closed down. But here is the guy who's chasing the championship. He's a two-time champion. He says his rear tires are going a little bad right now.
Got about 12 or 13 more laps.
I don't know if these reds are hanging on very good, Townsend. They certainly worked for Sato, but these guys in the midfield that are fighting are using them pretty hard.
Well, Colton Herder's leading on blacks at a mid 109 comfortably, but Rossi and Hunter-Reay, Rahal, their pace is pretty good on the reds as well. So you heard it from Tim Cindric on the radio. Next pit around lap 46, 47, and then it'll be a sprint to the finish.
Race leader is the 21-year-old Colton Herder for Capstone Honda, Andretti, Harding, Steinbrenner. And we heard it earlier saying, we'll see if we can get the car fixed and get him back out. This is Felix Rosenquist's car, and the Swedish driver is behind the wheel to get back out there and see what he can do. NBC's coverage of IndyCar is brought to you by Liberty Mutual Insurance. Only pay for what you need. Firestone, drive the tire that drives IndyCar legends. And by Honda, an official vehicle of the NTT IndyCar Series. We're back. 39 laps remain here in the Honda Indy 200 at Mid-Ohio. Lee Diffie along with Townsend Bell and Paul Tracy. PT won here in the year that he won the IndyCar Championship in 2003. James Hinchcliffe and Kelly Stavros are here. T. Bell, I know you've achieved success here as well. This place has been pretty kind to both of you. It's been very kind right now to Colton Herder, the 21-year-old second-year driver in IndyCar Series competition, second-generation racer. His father, Brian, you'll often hear him on the radio talking to Marco Andretti. He's on that pit box. So the Herder family name continues very well. And Young Colton is being chased down by Alexander Rossi. Let's have a listen to some radio.
Do you think it'll free up on blacks? Because I have a lot of unders here.
Yes, I would imagine it would free up on blacks.
Okay, leave the wing.
Strategizing Hinch on what to do. Blacks to red tires. He's got understeer with the red, more rear grip with the red tires. What's the change for blacks?
Well, normally the red Firestone tires, like you say, Paul, they've got a little bit more rear grip, which creates more understeer. It means the front tires don't work as well. The car doesn't turn as well. So for the reds, you'll often add a little bit of front wing that puts some center of pressure or more air on the front wing, gives you more front grip. When you switch to the blacks, they'll take a little bit out. So if he's dealing with some understeer on the reds, naturally when you go to the black tires, I think that the balance is going to shift towards the front of the car. It'll have a bit more front grip relative to the rear. So he's saying leave the wing as it is. It's not perfect for reds, but I think it's going to be okay on the blacks. And I just chatted to all three of the stands of these Andretti Autosport cars running 1, 2, 3 right now, and there's a very common theme. The drivers are very quiet on the radio. Nobody's saying much. They're all happy with their cars. Alexander Rossi's going to have to go to blacks at the end. Colton Herder's going to have reds, and Ryan Hunter-Reay is also going to have to go to the primary black sidewalled Firestones.
And I think the advantage is to Colton Herder, because I think finishing on the reds, especially the pace advantage on the opening laps of the stint with the red tire, Colton Herder, I think, is going to be really tough to catch. These guys will be doing everything they can, but as you said, Rossi, Hunter-Reay, and Rahal all have to switch to blacks for the final stint.
You definitely see that Rossi's car's got understeer, and he's missing some apex here and there around the track, and Colton Herder is able to just stretch it away now to 2 seconds. It had closed down, it kind of ebbed and flowed, and now he's kind of getting away from him.
About 8 laps until the final round of pit stops.
Ryan Hunter-Reay desperately seeking a podium. It's been a while, and he'd dearly love to get the DHL Honda back up there, the father of 3. No worries about fitness in this second leg of the doubleheader with this guy. Does a lot of free diving. He's in incredible shape.
So he's making adjustments to either engine mapping, engine fuel mapping, or throttle mapping. You have the ability in these cars to adjust how the throttle rolls on based on how much pedal you give it. What that'll do is make it a little easier to not spin up the rear tires out of the slower corners. Makes it a little less sensitive to throttle input.
Yeah, not really saving fuel either. You can hear he's kind of driving it all the way down to the apex, and Graham Rahal is sitting back there. I heard him on his in-car that he was coasting into the corners. So maybe Graham Rahal will try to run a lap or 2 longer than these guys and try to do the overcut and get by them on the pit stoppage change.
That's what he did yesterday, PT. He made that work. That kind of strategy worked very effectively. Rossi, Hunter-Reay. There is the 5th Third Bank Honda for Rahal, Letterman, Lanigan Racing. And steadily eating in to the advantage that Ryan Hunter-Reay has over him. And we've now eased into the second half of the second day of racing here at Mid-Ohio. Rahal felt really good, like he had something for them yesterday. Just got hampered a little bit on strategy. So it's pretty clear right here. We'll see what he's got with the majority of the second half of this race to go.
Complete different livery on that car from yesterday. It was a completely different color scheme. They worked into the night to rewrap the car, which is a tough job in itself. Now with these new colors.
These guys do an amazing job. These guys being Rahal, Letterman, Lanigan. That's Bobby Rahal, David Letterman, Mike Lanigan, successful businessman. They work the commercial angle of their organization so well, and have even considered and openly spoken about maybe expanding to a 3rd car next year if the opportunity is right. That's terrific. There's speculation whether Team Penske might go to a 4th car with the young sensation from Down Under, Scott McLaughlin, who is the 2-time and defending supercar champion. There's talk maybe Arrow McLaren SP might grow to a 3rd car. So I think 2021, as odd as 2020 has been, fellas, it certainly looks bright.
A lot of momentum in the series right now as Graham Rahal trying to win his 2nd here at home at Mid-Ohio.
Colton Herder has led 25 of the laps thus far, and the youngster, the 2-time IndyCar race winner, looks comfy out front. Today, here on NBC, a trip to the Stanley Cup final gets closer. The Tampa Bay Lightning face off against the New York Islanders. As you know, there's nothing like playoff hockey. Game 4 today at 3 Eastern when we're done here with IndyCar on NBC. Well, we've got a few Americans, a couple of Canadians, an Aussie on the broadcast team here today. Hench, I know that PT wasn't that spectacular on the skates. How about you?
Yeah, I'm not going to say that was a strength of mine, Lee. I got to be honest. I think I did more ice racing than I did ice skating growing up in Canada.
I was goalie. I didn't really have to skate much. I just stood there.
Oh!
Oh, he's hanging on right there. So these guys are going to pit here in a couple laps, and that's got to run for Hunter Ray. He's got to be careful. These guys are all teammates, so when you're looking at a 1-2-3 finish, the way these guys are running, Michael will not want these guys, Andretti, banging into each other.
Been watching Alexander Rossi there in the blue and yellow Napa card. He's been skating around more and more the last couple of laps, just trying to hang on until the last stop.
He did that yesterday too. It was spectacular to watch.
Rossi.
We hear that the team is laid out, ready to service Alexander Rossi. And there's the call from Rob Edwards, his strategist. Pit, pit, pit. Let's go.
Little lock up as he comes to pit lane.
Open in, pick 3.
Hit your teammates coming to you.
On the way out.
He's going to come in here. I'm sure the Andretti Autosport guys decided to stagger their cars because Alexander Rossi, Ryan Hunter-Reay are next to each other in pit lane. The 28 guys are setting up as black Firestone tires going on to the number 27, 18.5 gallons of Speedway gas in. That is a great clean stop.
See what happens now with Hunter Ray. He stayed out an extra lap. He was all over the back of Rossi. He's got to put down a big lap here. Rossi's going to come out here, maybe have a little bit of traffic here to deal with as these faster cars come around on hot tires. I think he's clear, Townsend, but he's got to lay down a couple quick laps. And we hear Herder and Hunter Ray are coming in next.
So important for Rossi to find that gap out of the pits. That allows him to lay down the fastest possible outlap, as Rob Edwards reminds him to use push to pass and make this as quick as possible and see if he can undercut his teammate and maybe even the other one, Colton Herder.
Sato right there, who was the guy who stayed out late, so Sato's still in the mix.
Pass for position, Sato getting around Connor Daly, and here comes the leader.
What a run from Colton Herder. James, take it away.
Last time Colton Herder sat on pole at WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca, he converted it into a win. It's looking stellar so far as he gets the capstone car in on his marks, as Ryan Hunter-Reay does as well. Red Firestones going on the number 88 Honda. Black Firestones going on the 28. A very quick stop from the capstone car. Colton Herder is away. Ryan Hunter-Reay right behind him. Clean stops from the Andretti Autosport crews all across the top three.
Where is Rossi? There he is.
Here he comes. It's going to be a drag race to turn 2. This is going to be close.
I think he's going to get tires.
Hot tires for Rossi, and he sweeps back by. So
what about Graham? Here comes Graham. Hunter-Reay on cold tires. Graham on hot tires.
That's Sato right
Sorry,
there.
Sato. My bad. Graham's leading the race. That's Graham's teammate Sato now on Hunter-Reay.
Last lap for Rahal, a 109.7. He's gone a half a second quicker than what he was running. He's trying to do the overcut. We'll see how many laps he stays out, but if it goes yellow, that will really hurt him. So he's got to come here. He's laid out, it looks like.
9.7, Paul's about a second quicker than what Rossi and Hunter-Reay were doing, and Herder. So Graham had been saving fuel. You talked about it. Here he comes. Hot into the box, but just perfect. 4 tires going on.
And
Blacks.
If he had been saving fuel, a shorter stop, there it is. Go, Graham Rahal in the 5th Third Bank Honda. How's it going to work out on the cycle, Cal?
We see the 2 Team Penske's Chevys coming to pit road for both Joseph Newgarden and then blue number 1 and his teammate Will Power behind them. They're going to be sticker Firestone red tires going on to potentially finish this out. Joseph Newgarden was just losing a little bit of grip. Will Power, by the way, has radio issues, so he hasn't been able to talk much to his team.
I think Graham got out in front of these guys. This is the Penske trio right here, but Graham Rahal's up the road, and I believe that he might have slid himself into 3rd right now, it looks like.
Graham Rahal's battling Ryan Hunter-Reay on the back straightaway. Rahal to the outside.
Check this out. Top speed down to turn 4. Hunter-Reay versus Rahal. So Colton Herder is out in front of these guys. There he is, just saw him at the bottom of the screen.
Oh, Sato, what are you doing? You still have one more stop.
That's teammate on teammate.
Sato and Scott Dixon right there, but they still have to make another stop. Graham Rahal battling for a podium position, has a big moment out of the final step-off corner there.
So everything pretty much stayed status quo through the pit stops with the undercut and overcut. Herder, Rossi, Honore.
Sato goes for pit lane. That was close.
Okay, Takuma's in, Dixon's behind you.
And Dixon stayed out. So, Colton Herder, Alexander Rossi. This is Scott Dixon making a move on Graham Rahal.
I have never seen Scott Dixon take so many risks in my career. Do you think he's feeling the pressure?
Well,
Is he?
no, he's not for position.
He's got to stop again.
It is for position as he runs right now, but he has to make another stop. So critical that Graham Rahal gets that information to protect the top 5 position that Graham's working right now. But you're right, Paul. Scott Dixon got to be furious with the mistake he made earlier and doing everything he can to claw back those precious points.
This is what it looked like from above. The aerial footage brought to you by Geico. It was close. Rahal gave him room. Slight lockup from Dixon. Squeezes through on the inside at the keyhole.
The points has switched back now with that pass to an 86-point lead. That's how quick it changes.
Well, keep in mind that Dixon's got to stop again. Also keep in mind that Will Power has jumped ahead of Joseph Newgarden, so that's not helping Newgarden at all either. So, Andretti Autosport 1, 2, 3, Colton Herder, Alexander Rossi, Ryan Hunter-Ray. That's as it was prior to the last stop. 26 laps to go here at Mid-Ohio.
Long way to go on these tires. That's a lot of laps when now these guys are pushing really hard. Simon Pagenaud working the back of Marcus Ericsson. Right now, Ericsson is the top Ganassi guy, having a good weekend.
Terrific. Since the start, up 9 positions in that Husky Chocolates Red White Ganassi car. There's Simon Pagenaud running 7th. So Penske running 7, 8, 9. Pagenaud, Power, Newgarden. And you have to wonder if the team thinks about those precious points that Newgarden could earn if he can finish ahead of his 2 teammates. Watch this race off pit lane between Newgarden and Power. This was close.
Drag race all the way down to the end of the pit lane, side by side in a 1-lane groove there out of the corner.
Not the only time that we've seen them have a drag race. They were doing that in qualifying, and as a net result of that, Will Power ended up spinning coming out of turn 2 and ending up beached and high-centered. So Power winning on that occasion.
Manage the fuel. Colton's on red. It'll come down to what you've got left of the last 5 laps of the race here.
It's good advice, because I don't think, Townsend, that these Reds at this kind of pace can hang on for that long. I think it might be advantage blacks at the end of the race in the last 5 laps.
I don't know. Takuma Sato showed pretty good pace at the end of his long 31-lap stint on the Reds to start the race. But let's look at push to pass remaining here. Colton Herder sitting pretty with 125 seconds left. Rossi only 86.
When Townsend says left, it's 125 seconds left of the allocated 200 seconds, and you can do that in disbursements of 20 seconds at a max. Gives you an nice extra boost of power, aiding with passing and overtaking, but nobody's even close to Colton Herder yet to try and overtake him. I say yet, as he's got almost a 2-second buffer over Alexander Rossi. This young man, although he won twice last year, has yet to see the podium this year. However, he is the highest placed Andretti car in this 2020 NTT IndyCar season. Colton Herder came into this race 6th in the points and may jump handsomely, because Power, who is immediately ahead of him, is behind, and so too Sato. We'll see. NBC's coverage of IndyCar is brought to you by Land Rover, above and beyond. NTT, official sponsor and technology partner of the NTT IndyCar Series, and by Progressive. Stay on track with great rates at progressive.com.
Smooth sailing out on the lake, wind at about 6 knots, but right now it's smooth sailing for Colton Herder, who leads here at Mid-Ohio.
You'll see a smattering of campers and fans here. It's just delightful to have the fans back. Capped at 6,000 spectators. That was the same for yesterday's opening leg of this doubleheader as well. As 21-year-old Colton Herder continues to steer the way. And if you look at the progressive lap leaders chart, bottom of that graphic, he's led 36 of the laps thus far. And the two Rahal, Letterman, Lanigan drivers leading on that caution and the pit stop rotation. But it's been Herder's day from pole position. He's been the dominant car. This really laid-back Californian who thoroughly enjoys being part of a band with his mates. He's the drummer in the band Zibs and doesn't say a whole lot, leaves his talking for on track. And he's determined, he's aggressive, he's decisive.
He's the new guy in the team, and certainly Rossi does not want to be taking the throne away from being the team leader as he continues to push these tires. These reds hinge hard, and I gotta feel if you push too hard early, like you say, you're gonna pay the piper in the end. And I think that last 5 laps, if you run out of tires, you could be in trouble.
I mean, it's still 21 laps to go. We saw last year with the way that Scott Dixon, had to finish on those reds. He was very, very low on grip at the end of that race, just hanging on to it. And I'm looking at the gap here.
Take care of the tires.
There you go. The message from the crew, take care of the tires. 2.7, 2.8 second gap. He doesn't need to be setting fast laps and personal bests right now. He just needs to manage that gap to Alexander Rossi and make sure he's got a little bit left in the tank for those last 5 laps like you take, Paul.
James, it's been too long since Paul and I drove an IndyCar around Mid-Ohio. Just explain how you take care of the tires. What can you do as a driver in the cockpit to protect the wear rate?
That's a great question, Townsend. So when you're trying to take care of these Firestones, it's all about not putting any slip angle into the front tire. So if you're turning that tire like we're watching Alexander Rossi right now, you don't want to add too much lock and make the tire work too hard. When you're exiting the corner, you don't want to get on the power too early and create wheel spin. Wheel spin just wears that rubber right off the tire. So there's definitely things you can do as drivers with your hands and with your feet to help take care of it. And right now, a lot of these guys are saving fuel. They're having to hit a number, being forced to pit on lap 15 with that yellow coming out for Dalton Kellett. Made these 2 stints very long, so they're hitting a fuel save number. That's actually going to naturally back up your driving a little bit and help take care of the tires. So they're in a good position right now. They just got to be smart, especially this guy right here, Colton Herder.
2 years ago, Colton Herder finished second in the Indy Lights Championship to one of these competitors in this race, to Pato O'Ward. They both drove for the Andretti Indy Lights team. So then he graduates to IndyCar, and just in his second race, he was part of a wild race in Austin, Texas, the first ever at Circuit of the Americas. Coming onto pit road under caution, Will Power had led the opening 40 laps of that race. Power had an issue. Herder went to the front. There's his dad, who at the time was working for a different team, and his then teenage son became the youngest to ever win. So almost bookending the season, scoot ahead to the very last race of the season at WeatherTech Raceway, Laguna Seca, and the youngster did it again. In fact, he never stood on the podium any other time that year. He's like, don't worry about seconds or thirds, I'll just win.
He really learned through the year how to manage the tires, because Elkhart Lake, he was leading there, and he just got worked over by Scott Dixon, and he said himself, I really learned then that I need to conserve the tires, and this is a track here that eats up these red tires, and right now he's doing a good job of it, but he is running fast laps every lap in the 109s.
The advantage that Herder has right now, along with Hunter Ray over Rossi, is they both pitted on lap 46, Rossi on 45. You heard James Hinchcliffe talk about the need for Rossi to save a little more fuel, so Herder and Hunter Ray able to burn a little bit more gas if they need to, but right now the balance of that 88 car for Herder just looks like it's railing very well.
But hang on,
not slipping the tires too much.
Have a look at the time, because in the last few laps, Rossi has taken a full second out of Colton Herder, whether that's Rossi's aggressiveness and speed or whether it's Herder being a little conservative. But that gap has come down measurably.
Or if it's the crossover point,
yes,
where the harder Firestone black tire is hanging strong and the red is really starting to lose lap-on-lap performance. Gap at 2 seconds even right now.
Red tires are great through the first 10 to 12 laps, and then it crosses over, and the blacks become a better tire from lap 12 on to 25 as Dixon comes in.
And this is a painful pit stop for Scott Dixon. Doing everything he can to try to make up points. They'll go as fast as they can, try to get him out and fight for maybe a top 10. It's going to be tough though, Kelly.
Yeah, he's been screaming on the radio that the grip on those red tires went away a long time ago, so now it's to the black primary Firestones. He wanted no wing changes on there. If there's anything to look forward to or look up about, Scott Dixon has never won the championship and a race here at Mid-Ohio in the same year, so maybe the troubles here are actually a good omen.
So there's Max Chilton coming out behind Dixon. Chilton's running in 13th right now, then Ferrucci in 14th.
And the points just swung the other way, back to a 69-point advantage. He was back up in the 80s, so as quick as that, the points swing around.
And this is the reason why Dixon is back there mired in the trouble. He started really well, qualified well, started the race in third on the second row, and a highly uncharacteristic, unforced error by Scott Dixon. Maybe the last time I could think about one was Indy, when he had that brush with the wall, and then Detroit last year. I mean, that's why we can remember them so clearly, because they're so few and far between.
So with Newgarden in 8th, Power 7th, Pagano 6th, those three Team Penske teammates. Kelly, I'm curious, I know you've been monitoring the Team Penske radio communications. Have you heard any chatter to Pagano or Power about Newgarden's situation relative to Dixon's challenges today?
Early in the race, when Dixon had his troubles, they did make Joseph Newgarden aware of the situation that Dixon had fallen back. As I said earlier, Will Power actually has a radio issue. He had a low battery beep come on very early in this race, so they told him the best way to preserve it was just to not use it and simply hit the radio button without talking to let the team know that he's hearing them, but they're still not totally sure. So not a lot of communication happening on that 12 team.
And behind the top three, who we've spoken about a lot, Graham Rahal fourth, Marcus Ericsson in that Husky Chocolate Honda for Chip Ganassi Racing. He's headed for his second best result of this season. He's in the top 5 ahead of the Team Penske trio of Pagano, Power and Newgarden. Pato O'Ward has been gritty to work his way up into the top 10 from a lot further down. And then Rinus VeeKay, the lead rookie in this race and in this championship, doing well. 15 to go here at Mid-Ohio. Can Rossi do anything about his teammate? Coming up in just a little over half an hour, it is Game 4 of the Stanley Cup Playoffs Eastern Conference Final between Tampa Bay Lightning and the New York Islanders. And then right after that, at 7, Football Night in America is here for 2020. And then at 8:20 p.m., some football action at New Rams Stadium in LA and up against the Cowboys. So looking forward to a great day ahead right here on NBC as we welcome you back to the Honda Indy 200 at Mid-Ohio. It's a second-year driver, Colton Herder. We've told you about his dad and how he's continuing the proud Herder name. There he is, part of the Zibs. And of course, due to the COVID lockdown for so long, he and his buddies were unable to get together and rehearse, so they really missed it. They got going again a couple of months ago, and that's a nice way for him to chill out away from the racetrack. The high intensity of being an IndyCar driver, being a race winner and race-leading IndyCar driver, hopes to one day be an Indy 500 winner and champion. And at the age of just 21, you could say it's a pretty safe bet that he'll achieve both those career goals.
Paul, there's a couple of talented drummers in the IndyCar series. Colton Herder, Will Power, also two of the fastest drivers on road courses. You think there's any correlation between percussion excellence and IndyCar driving?
I don't know, but he's drumming down some pretty strong laps right now. The last one was a 109.3. That one was a 109.7. Both laps faster than Rossi at this point, so he's starting to edge away again from him.
I wonder if Rossi's strategy is just absolutely push as hard as he can and see if he can get Colton to use up those reds now and hopefully give Rossi some kind of chance at the end. But with Herder having 125 seconds to push to pass left, Rossi only 86 right now.
Tell you what, guys, it has been, I mentioned this earlier, a gritty performance from this man here, the driver of the number 5, Arrow McLaren SP Chevrolet. This is Patricio or Pato O'Ward of Mexico. He was third coming into this race in the championship, but had a disastrous qualifying. He spun off at the keyhole. It was an unforced error. He was frustrated with himself. Had a crash yesterday, but hung tough there as well. This is his first weekend here in an IndyCar. Even though he's not a rookie, he did the first 7 races of the season last year, but he didn't do Mid-Ohio. This is what he did early in practice, brought out a red flag. That means when you do that in qualifying, you got to park it. You're done. And so that means he started way back in 21st position today. That was 6 positions worse than where he qualified yesterday. And this youngster, this 21-year-old, who went to school in San Antonio, Texas, has got himself up to 9th, and that is good enough at the moment, with 10 laps to go, fellas, to keep himself 3rd in this championship hunt.
I know it's been a disaster in qualifying for award this weekend, but I got to say, once he settles into race pace here, this is a guy that's never seen Mid-Ohio in an IndyCar before, and really he's showing, Paul, excellent pace along with this rookie driver, Rinus VeeKay.
He has. This guy also has shown great pace as well, but he is wild and ragged, and he pushes to the limit all the time. Both of these youngsters are being mentored. This guy right here, mentored by Arie Luyendyk Sr. Gilles de Ferran is here this weekend running the radio for Pato Awards. So a lot of experience on the box coaching these guys along.
It's been a close Rookie of the Year battle up until today, and unfortunately for Alex Palou, that first lap crash with his teammate Santino Ferrucci has allowed Rinus VeeKay, as they run right now, to open up a 40-point gap in that one-time only Rookie of the Year battle. You only get one chance, Hinch.
Yeah, and this is a very talented rookie field this year, guys. Obviously, Dalton Kellett not running the full season, so it's really the other 3 that are in the battle for it. And what's so cool about the Rookie of the Year Championship is you only get one shot to win it. You're only a rookie once. You can come back and try and win the Indy 500. You can come back and try and win a championship. But this means a lot to young drivers. And Rinus VeeKay came in the youngest and least experienced of those 3 full-time rookies, but he has impressed so many people. We've watched him mature on track, and these results have been very, very impressive.
It's a good point, but I have heard some young drivers ask their father, it's not the IndyCar series, hey Dad, which year was I Rookie of the Year? That would have been your first.
Yes. Dixon now is on the charge, laying down some fast laps. He's caught Jack Harvey right here, going to look for another position late on the brakes, a little bit too late. Jack Harvey is a super late breaker, and he's fighting for another top 10 this weekend. He had a great run yesterday, and looking for another good finish today.
I wonder if Mike Allwright might remind Scott Dixon from the timing stand, Scott, you still have a 70-point lead in the championship. We need really high percentage decisions. Scott Dixon, known for making all the right decisions at the right time, as you see the points as they run right now. But it's been a really wild weekend for Dixon. I mean, this would have been the racetrack that anybody in the series would have pointed to and said, hey, 6-time winner here at Mid-Ohio, Dixon's going to absolutely clean house. It's been anything but that from a championship point standpoint, as Dixon's trying to recover, maybe try to get himself in the top 10.
And the reason why this is such a big deal, folks, is the driver of the PNC Bank Honda, the orange car there, he is going for his 6th IndyCar title. There's only one other driver in history who's accomplished that, and that is A.J. Foyt.
Got a run here on Jack Harvey again. See if he can make this move. If this pass will get him within 3 positions of Joseph Newgarden, and it's a clean one. So he has moved even closer, and with that pass, the points lead grows a little bit more.
Hey, every point counts, and Dixon knows that. You remember the year that he drew level with Juan Pablo Montoya at the last race? Dixon ended up winning the championship on a countback of preferred and higher prioritized positions. So every single point counts. And that move literally got him 1 point.
I think pretty interesting to see, Paul, how quickly Scott Dixon is dropping Harvey. Dixon on the black tires, Harvey on the red. I wonder what that means for the battle up front as Colton Herder maintains the gap to Rossi at 1.7 seconds with 7 laps to go. But if those red tires really start to fall off for Colton Herder, Rossi's going to be right there to pounce.
Yeah, Dixon right now is running 109.2s. The leaders are running 109.6, 109.7s. So they're all just kind of pacing each other. But this guy right here, he's doing a masterful job of just maintaining the gap to his teammates.
You can just hear how tenderly that Colton Herder is applying the throttle, coasting as much minimum speed as he can. James talked earlier about saving tires. by being really gentle with any tire slip, not overwhelming the fronts or the rears with either the steering input or throttle application.
That gap maintains kind of 1.7 seconds, so it's steady. Let's go for a little ride with Alexander Rossi. Have a listen here with the Auto Nation on board.
Here, a little bit of wheel spin coming off the second corner there. Just lit up a little bit. We'll see if he saves fuel. You hear him at the end of the straight roll out. See the coasting down into the brake zone hinge, so they're still saving a little bit of fuel.
Yeah, they have to, Paul, and that's right. There are two ways that a driver can save fuel when the team asks you to do it. One of them is easy. It's on the steering wheel. You flip some switches, turn some knobs, and it changes the engine settings, burns a little less fuel. The other way is, like you said, with your foot, your right foot. You roll off the throttle at the end of the straightaways, wait a little bit, have a bit of a coast, half second to a second, and then brake a little bit later than you normally would to try to make up whatever time you've lost. But one of the things that really affects your fuel and your fuel consumption over a lap is your push to pass. When you're on that push to pass, you have extra revs, extra horsepower, extra turbo boost, but that also burns extra fuel. So as I'm looking at how many seconds are left on push to pass for these top three, it's an outrageously high number for this late in the race. It's because they can't use it, guys. The teams are telling them don't use push to pass. That's also a reason why Scott Dixon is picking through the field, because he stopped later than everyone else. He has lots of fuel, so every car he comes up to, he's able to get all over that button and drive around these guys.
Just two retirements in this second leg of the Honda Indy 200 here at Mid-Ohio. Alex Palou, the rookie for Dale Coyne with Team Go, and Felix Rosenquist. They were involved in an incident on the opening lap with this guy, driver of the Sealmaster Honda, Santino Ferrucci, who's had a really up and down day. Started on the front row for the first time in his career, ran off track in a fierce battle on the opening lap with Colton Herder, went onto the grass, the wet and slippery grass, tried to get it back on, and then ended up, unfortunately, an unplanned contact with his teammate right there, and Rosenquist was on the outside of Palou, and Palou, I should say, and wrong place, wrong time, unfortunately.
So big drama to start the race for Ferrucci, but has settled in here 43 seconds back. But Paul, you know, one little potential drama element as you see Dixon trying to make a move on VK,
yeah,
but
VK's tires are gone. He's on reds.
Up.
You can see him sliding around. Still blacks for VK, so you can see the back of his car. He's a guy that pushes on the loud pedal. The loud pedal's the gas pedal. He pushes it hard, so use those tires up. But right now up front, Herder still able to just maintain that gap at about 1.5 seconds.
I was thinking that Herder might have a challenge getting around Charlie Kimball, who was the last car in the lead lap, but Charlie Kimball doing a very gentlemanly job of allowing the leaders through and to compete as Rossi lights things up. Here comes Dixon again with another run.
This is again important points-wise.
Rinus late on the brakes. Look at the gap he opened up into the corner. So the late, super late braking by Rinus VK really pushing Dixon to the limit. Dixon does not want to get in an accident here with just a couple laps to go.
Well, it's going to be tough to keep it clean because VK swerving a little bit in the brake zone, keeping Scott Dixon guessing from behind which way that 21 Sonax car might go.
This is for a top 10, so it'd be back-to-back top 10s with just 3 laps to go. VK and Dixon, and again, every point counts, so he's going to go for it if he can do it cleanly and decisively. Maybe up into turn 2. You see the back end step out there on the Sonax Chevy of VK yet again. Let's watch up here as they climb the hill up into 2. Is Dixon close enough? Not at the moment, he's not.
Yeah, he's just got to close the gap and then get the run off of turn 2, which they call the keyhole right here. So right here, VK locks it up going in, but Dixon's a little bit too far back to take advantage of that.
And Dixon's almost out of push to pass as well. He's only got 13 seconds left. So that's going to get increasingly difficult over these closing couple of laps as Colton Herder is about to be signified. 2 to go, and you're going to be a race winner in IndyCar
2 to
again.
go, gap is 1.7.
He's done a very nice job to maintain that gap. It's been very steady.
Well, this is a race that Michael Andretti will love. This team has struggled on the road and street courses this year. They were so good at Indianapolis, and to bring home a 1-2-3 the way it's looking right now would be a blessing.
You know how long it's been since there was an Andretti podium sweep? 15 years ago.
Wow.
And it has been a problematic season for Andretti Autosport. Up until yesterday, up until Rossi got that podium yesterday, they only had one podium across 5 cars. So Rossi got them their second podium, and now they're going to go 1, 2, 3 in a lap and a half's time.
And I think one of the reasons to be encouraged is not just the result, as Dixon making another run on VK.
VK stepped out sideways a little bit, but the gap is just a little bit too big.
So I think, Paul, one of the reasons to be encouraged for Andretti is they've done this performance today on pure pace, and the way that Herder, Rossi, and Hunter Ray, the consistency over the tire stint as the white flag comes out, the way that Herder's been able to manage the Reds. We haven't seen any big slides or big moments with 28 laps on the tires. That's really encouraging. With 3 more races to go, all of them road courses, 2 at Indy and 1 on the streets at St. Pete.
He's really done a masterful job today of maintaining the tire, maintaining the gap.
You're all good. Keep pushing hard.
And he's on the home stretch now.
When he was a youngster in go-karts, he was watching kids who were getting into cars. And he said to his dad, Brian, he said, "Dad, I'd like to get into cars." Brian said, "If you get straight A's at school, you can go into cars at a young age." He came back with straight A's. Brian kind of threatened that because he didn't think he was going to come home with straight A's. He did. So he's got into cars at a very young age. He became the youngest ever winner in IndyCar history a year ago at Circuit of the Americas in Austin, Texas. This guy is going to be around for a long, long time, and he's handled it. He's shown his maturity in this race in just his second season in IndyCars. He's in the top 5 in the championship, and just like Will Power yesterday, Colton Herder is now a winner at Mid-Ohio.
That was sweet.
That was sweet.
Nice job, guys. And then Andretti 1, 2, 3.
Dixon got by on the last lap, so he made it happen. Sorry, guys, we missed that, but the action was up front there with Herder, but Dixon grabs another point.
So it has been a struggle, but it's been a very determined performance from Dixon to kind of garner and grab any point that he can, and it's going to be back-to-back top 10s for Scott Dixon. 10th yesterday, 10th today, but it's all about Andretti Autosport. Andretti Harding Steinbrenner Autosport as well for the winner. Let's go to Michael Andretti. Here he is.
Michael Andretti, team owner of the podium, all 3 cars. It's been a bit of a tough year for you guys. Not the results we're used to seeing out of the team, but man, this must feel like such a huge relief for you.
Oh, it's so huge, so huge. You know, thank God that we came here to Mid-Ohio. You know, we were a little worried that we weren't going to be able to get here, but you know, Kevin Sabry and those guys did a great job getting the race on, and it paid off for us, man. 1, 2, 3. After the way things have been going this year, this is huge for us, the whole team.
All right, we'll get off to the podium. There's some champagne to spray. 2 podiums all year and 3 today. It's a great result for the team.
An amazing performance from Michael, the whole organization, and its youngest driver, Colton Herder, winner at Mid-Ohio. It's time to celebrate, and this checkered flag moment brought to you by Advance Auto Parts. And this moment is the 7th different winner this season. First time winner in 2020, Colton Herder. And in dominant fashion, leading 57 of the 75 laps from pole position to victory lane. Oh yeah.
"15 years ago, Andretti Autosport did one better. They did a 1, 2, 3, 4 in St. Petersburg. 4th place was your dad, Brian Herder, but you led the field of Andretti cars in a 1, 2, 3 podium sweep. Colton, it's got to feel so good for you and so good for the team.
Yeah, I'm so happy. You know, we've been knocking on the door almost every week, and we've had the pace. Just for some reason or another, just this one thing has gone wrong or this thing's gone wrong. But we finally put everything together. Got the pole this morning. Had a stellar car. Everybody at Capstone Turbines and the entire crew gave me an incredible car. And a Honda Andretti 1, 2, 3. So happy to be powered by Honda too.
It was an exciting start. You and Santino Ferrucci side by side in the first corner. How did you see it from your perspective?
He was on the outside, and I got halfway in front of him, so it was my corner at that point. So I tried to leave him as much room as I could, but he just wanted to stick on the outside, so I had to push him off.
You know, we chatted before the race that the last time you qualified on pole at WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca, you converted it to a win. You did it again here today. So what do you say? Just 2 more poles at Indy GP and go from there?
That's right. Now we just need to be finishing on the podium every other weekend, because it seems like we're only on the podium when we win. So if we can fill in all those other spots with second or thirds, I'll be a very happy man.
Fair enough. There's a lot of very happy crew behind you. Go give them a high five. Congratulations to Colton Herder and Andretti Autosport. Kelly Savas.
Hinch, I don't think anybody expected the 5-time champion Scott Dixon, who has won 6 times here at Mid-Ohio, to come away with a pair of 10th place finishes on this doubleheader. We certainly didn't expect you to make a mistake on your own there. What happened, Scott?
Yeah, just I think we kind of tried to have the tires a little bit better for longer in the run, so I think our cold pressures were really low. We really struggled on the restarts, especially the initial start and then that restart. Plus, everybody behind me had reds on, so, you know, I got a little aggressive, hit the OT, hit the overtake on the exit of 1, and just way too much Honda power there, and it spun the tires and just spun the car. So totally caught me off guard. Total rookie mistake. I'm so bummed for the team. It was just such a, you know, stupid mistake I shouldn't have made. And obviously the car was fast. We were able to fight our way through back up to where we ended up, but it should have been an easy points too.
Aggressive there at the start, then aggressive again. Made that pass around Rinus VeeKay to grab that 10th spot. Every point counts. It's now 72 points, your lead over Joseph Newgarden. With 3 races left to go, is it time to kind of step back and get into a points preservation mode?
No, I think we definitely can't do that. The easiest way is going to try and win race 1 at Indy Road Course, and then do the same in race 2, and then it'd be nice to go to St. Pete without having to worry about it. But the NTT IndyCar Series is so tight right now. The competition's super tough. Even trying to rebound off days like this is very tough. So big thank you to PNC and PNC Bank, and obviously NTT and Honda. Proud to be powered by them. It's good to see that podium up there with all Hondas.
Wasn't the weekend that Scott Dixon had hoped for, but he remains his lead here in the championship. Hinch?
Guys, the other 2 players in the Andretti Autosport podium sweep were Alexander Rossi in 2nd place and Ryan Hunter-Reay in 3rd. Alex, let's start with you. Only 1 podium for the whole team coming into the year. You've had 2 yourself this weekend, a big turnaround in form for the guys.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just so happy for Andretti Autosport and Michael, and it's been a terrible year for us, kind of globally. So to do this, obviously, huge hats off to Colton and the 88 guys to get the win, but then to sweep the podium, I just heard it's the first time since 2005. So it's very cool for us. The championship went away from us pretty early on, so we're just focused on race wins at this point and really trying to build a good foundation for next year. And I think we're doing that right now. So it's just it's a step in the right direction. Great to be fighting out front again with the boys, and yeah, we'll enjoy this one for sure.
With everyone forced to pit early on lap 15 there, how hard was it to conserve tires and fuel throughout the last 2 stints of this race?
I had a lot of practice yesterday, so it wasn't too bad. I mean, when you have a good car underneath you, it makes your job that much easier. So the Napa Auto Parts, Auto Nation, Andretti Honda was great today as it was yesterday. Unfortunately, qualifying, starting 10th and 8th as we did, it kind of dictates your race. The fact we were able to get on the podium from there is a testament to our cars and the pit stops and the job the team did. So like I said, we'll take this one and move on.
Congratulations. And Ryan, as he said, starting from 8th, a very difficult qualifying this morning, but you guys were able to convert it. How was your race?
Yeah, the race was all right. Like Alex said, the day was dictated by qualifying. It's such a big deal here in this sport, in this league. And, Alex and I both had a great start. Came up there and we fought the whole way. Just, that held station there at the end. But the guys did a great job in pit lane. It was nice to have a solid day with really no hiccups. And, the team needed it. Andretti Autosport, the 28 DHL boys, needed a good day as well. So it was nice to have a straightforward day, and we'll pick up from there, hopefully keep this momentum rolling. The only thing I could say is I wish we would have picked Group 1 on after qualifying day 1. That would have made the whole weekend a little bit different for us.
Yeah, so Ryan, obviously it's a big improvement on the road course package for the team here. We're going to take a look at some of the highlights from you here. We're heading to a doubleheader at another road course back at the Indianapolis Grand Prix circuit. Do you think you guys can carry the momentum from here? Did you learn something here that's going to apply at Indy GP?
I hope so. For some reason, this team's been really fast at Mid-Ohio and Road America. Indy GP, not so much. We're not terrible there. We're not red hot like that. So we need to figure something out. We're definitely going to go back and try some new stuff. So looking forward to a double there, and fingers crossed that we can end the season at least at St. Petersburg, kind of a home race for me. So hopefully we get a big win for DHL there as well.
Perfect. First podium of the season for the DHL Honda with Ryan Hunter-Reay. Kelly Stavis.
Rahal on the wrong end of that pass we just saw by Ryan Hunter-Reay. So you just missed out on a podium for the second day in a row on what is your home racetrack. What more did you need to catch those Andrettis ahead of you?
Well, I think we had the pace. It's just track position. You know, I thought my in-lap was good coming into that last stop. I thought we'd come out a little bit further ahead than we did, but, you know, look, at the end of the day, our fifth third bank guys did a great job. Today we raised $7,500 with United Rentals for Turns for Troops, so I'm extremely pleased with the way the weekend went. Like to have gained points on Colton and some of the other guys, but we did well this weekend, so it was strong 2 days.
Strong 2 days, and now you head back for the Indy GP, a place where you had a phenomenal effort, not the result to show for it that you were hoping for, but how promising and how optimistic are you heading back to Indy?
Well, I know we're going to be good, you know, so I think our car is going to be very competitive. You know, I expect that we'll be in contention, as I did this weekend, you know, to get a win, so hopefully we can do it. Obviously, it's been a long year, but again, like I said, thanks Fifth Third Bank, United Rentals, and all of our team for the great job they did this weekend.
Hey, I'd say it's a home racetrack for you. We had some fans here. I don't know how many of your supporters were able to come out, but what was it like to get back to a racetrack and at least see some activity?
It was great. It was a great day to have some crowd, you know, fans out here in the stands. And I heard the Big Ten announce we're playing football this fall, so I'm sure it's a great day in Ohio right now. But thanks to everybody that came. I know they sold every ticket they could sell, but I'm excited to get back here next year. I think we'll have a great crowd, and all the campers will be back. It'll be awesome.
Graham, thank you.
Thanks.
Back-to-back fourth place finishes for Graham Rahal on a day at the Honda Indy 200 that Honda powered cars were 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and that man there, Michael Andretti, and his race-winning driver. What a day. For those of you turning on for Stanley Cup playoffs, we'll get you there in just a moment. We're just wrapping up here from the Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course, where it's been a doubleheader weekend in the NTT IndyCar Series. 2 different winners, Will Power and Colton Herder. And after hockey, football night in America, Sunday night football. And what's ahead for us in IndyCar racing? Well, it's a busy month of October. In 3 weeks' time, October 2 and 3, it's the Harvest Grand Prix on the road course at the Brickyard at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, a place where the championship leader Scott Dixon has done well in the past. And then the series is going to finish on the streets of beautiful St. Petersburg, Florida. Can't wait for it. Will the title go all the way down to that final race? There are just 3 to go. It's a doubleheader at Indy, followed by the street race at St. Pete. So really look forward to that. It's quite the way to finish this season. So there it is. There's the remaining schedule. A reminder of those dates: October 2 and 3 for the doubleheader, and then in St. Pete, October 25. Let's go down to Team Penske with James Hinchcliffe.
The PPG Paints Chevrolet for Team Penske came home 8th today. Joseph, you came into this weekend 96 points behind Scott Dixon in the championship. It's down to 72. You finished ahead of him today, maybe not as far ahead as you would have liked. What held you back today?
Yeah, we were just a little too average today. You know, we didn't have, I don't think we had superior pace, and certainly, you know, our start position didn't help us out. So tried to, you know, make some hay in the beginning, and then the caution didn't really work into our favor for what we were planning strategy-wise. Just kind of stuck there all day, you know, couldn't really make much happen, to be honest. So we just got to work on trying to get a little more superior race pace. I think that's what we were lacking, you know, on the car itself specifically, just figuring out how to get a little more grip, a little better balance. But everything else was solid. You know, I think Team Chevy came with a great engine today. We had what we needed from them, and obviously the support from PPG is always great here at Mid-Ohio. So, you know, just need to work on ourselves a little when we go back out and hopefully have a little better race pace next time.
Of course, and still a big chunk of points taken out of Scott Dixon in the championship hunt. Will Power finished just ahead of him in 7th in the Verizon Chevrolet. Will, he had to rebound from that problem in qualifying, but hey man, 10 places up. That's a great result for you guys.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough around this place to pass, obviously, and I had no radio, so I had no clue what position I was or what fuel number, so I just followed Joseph. If he was going to pit, I'd pit with him, and just kind of maintain position. Didn't use any push to pass or anything because I didn't know like we could make it. So it was a good recovery, and probably moved us up a little bit in points still, and still a goal and all a good weekend for us. Disappointing in qualifying, obviously. totally my silly mistake, just unacceptable, honestly.
But you had a good pit stop. One of the best races of the day was racing your teammate Joseph Newgarden off pit lane side by side through a very narrow pit out here. Walk us through that.
Yeah, I mean, if he was going to hang there, I was just going to let him go because, I mean, I don't want any trouble, but he lifted and it was fine. Yeah, we came out close, but yeah, we still happy with 7th, man.
Well, a victory and a top 10 for Will Power in the doubleheader here at Mid-Ohio.
Yeah, and he stays 5th. He jumped up to 5th in the championship after his win yesterday, and he remains 5th in the championship with 3 races to go. It's all about Colton Herder and Andretti Autosport, though. However, this is the Children's Miracle Network moment of the race, a moment that none of us expected, and we heard Scott Dixon explain it in his own words. Unforced error, got on the push to pass, the extra power, the overtake button a little too hard, too aggressive on the exit of turn 1, and spun and lost a lot of places, but dug deep and came back to finish 10th. All right, guys, we need to look at those results. First podium for Ryan Hunter-Reay since Mid-Ohio here a year ago. 3rd career victory for Colton Herder on a banner day for Andretti Autosport.
Can't say enough about Colton Herder. I've known him since he was about 5 years old. He had a radical haircut with a mohawk back then, but he was painfully shy. Over the last several years, he said, hey, I'm going to let my driving do my talking. And today, in the cockpit, Paul, he was loud and proud.
Yeah, Scott Dixon, rough weekend, did his best to minimize the damage of today's spin, but you heard it right from him. They got to get back to their winning ways. They need to win this championship.
I like that, Paul. I liked what he said. He said, I'm not going to points race, I'm going for it. Just like this young fellow did today. 21-year-old Colton Herder. 3rd career win at 3 different circuits. At Circuit of the Americas in Austin, Texas, WeatherTech Raceway, Laguna Seca. He now adds Mid-Ohio to that. So from 96 points down to 72, Dixon over Newgarden. And Pato Award, we gave him a pat on the back to say well done for digging deep and maintaining his 3rd place status in this championship. That was important. His old Indy Lights teammate Herder moves up to 4th ahead of Will Power. Sato and Pagenaud slid backwards a little over the course of this doubleheader weekend. And look, this nearly didn't happen. We are sure glad that it did. Coming up next here on NBC, it's the Stanley Cup playoffs. It's Game 4, as you know, in the Eastern Conference Finals as the Tampa Bay Lightning take on New York Islanders. And later on, as we've mentioned throughout this broadcast, it's the premiere of Sunday Night Football as the Dallas Cowboys visit the LA Rams. Coverage starts Football Night in America at 7 Eastern. Thanks so much for watching the NTT IndyCar Series here on NBC.